Hello, I'm Frances from Winstep Homestead, and I would like to demonstrate to you how I make tomato sauce. A few years ago, when I was in California with a friend, they were growing tons of tomatoes, and so I was helping them make lots of tomato products. And I was trying to find a tomato sauce recipe, and all I could find was spaghetti sauce. All of them had oregano and different Italian seasonings in them. And so I wanted a multi-purpose tomato sauce. So I came up with one. And it is delicious, and it's very, very simple the way I do it. Now, originally I probably peeled the tomatoes where you have to blanch them and then peel the skins off. This is way easier, even easier than that. So what I do is I blend them. I cut them in pieces, just small ones. I cut them in quarters. If they're larger, 8, whatever. But I just load them in the blender and I blend it up. And I blend it up for a minute or so, maybe a little less. But I fill it up. Mine has a 5-cup mark on it. And so I fill it up to the 5-cup mark. So I just do it very easily. And I leave the stems on. The Roma tomatoes and these small round tomatoes just have a little stem, and they just blend right up. They don't have any, it's no problem blending those, and there's no residual afterwards. But I just fill the hopper right up, and the tomatoes are usually very juicy, and so I just start it on a low speed to get it started. And then I gradually raise it to a higher speed, and then I run it on a high speed long enough to get the tomatoes all blended up. Now, some of you may have blended the tomatoes before and it just didn't turn out smooth. That's the trick. You double blend. So once you get it blended up with all of the ingredients, and then you cook it down, you blend it again one more time. And that's when you get the smooth, beautiful tomato sauce texture. So here we go, full hopper, and it goes down to about 3 to 4 cups once I get it filled up. Once all of the pieces are in the mix and blended, then I just let it run for a little bit to get a nice smooth pulp. Now the other ingredients that I have are onion, bell pepper, garlic, bay leaf. So I also blend up the onion. I don't cook it first or anything. I just cut it in chunks. And these are from my garden. These are just some multiplying onions. It's what I had. Any onion will do. They're kind of small, and so I just do 3 small ones. If I had, like a really big one, like if I had a really big one like this is from the store. If I had a really big one like that, I just do 1. And I'm just, chunking them up so that they can blend up well in the blender. And the same with the bell pepper. I just chunk them up. These bell pepper were from my garden, and they are beautiful. I'm just really pleased with the bell peppers this year that I got from my garden. And I started them from seeds, so that makes it even more special for me because I don't always have good success with bell peppers, and this year they were wonderful. Beautiful bell peppers. Then garlic. I do about 4 fresh cloves of garlic. I happen to be out of the fresh cloves of garlic, so I use some diced. I also put in a jalapeno or 2. I happen to have a poblano, so I'm going to put that one in. It's pretty spicy, so I may only do half, but it doesn't make the sauce too spicy at all. It just gives it another level of flavor. think I'll go ahead and put the whole thing in. It's optional, of course. But that was my original recipe, and I've done it ever since, and it seems to work out really well. The other thing is that I need a little bit of the juice to help the onions and the bell pepper, because they're a bit drier, to get them blended up. So I put about a cup of the tomato puree in there. And then I just blend it. I'm going to make some more noise. Now this first stage, you could use a food processor for the onion and bell pepper and garlic, just to get it to smaller pieces and make it easier to chop it up. In a blender, it can be a little more difficult because they're drier, but I use the blender because maybe I'm just lazy and don't want to wash two different appliances. I just get it to work the way I need to. You don't have to worry about the onions and the bell pepper making it not look red, because once it cooks down, it's all red. So all the tomatoes and other vegetables are blended up into a puree. And I'm also going to add 2 bay leaves. Now this pot is a 16 quart, and so it's recommended for 1 teaspoon per quart of when you're doing tomato juice or canning tomatoes of any kind. You always put 1 teaspoon of salt, and so I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of salt to start. So I put the temperature on a medium-high because I don't want it to scorch when it's first starting. It's really thick, and I just stir it to incorporate all of the vegetables that have been blended. I don't add any extra water because I want to be able to cook it down, and I don't want to have more that I have to cook down. Okay, now I'm going to put a lid on this just for a little bit so that it can heat up quicker. And then once it comes to a boil, I'm going to turn it down so that it can just cook down. And it'll take probably a couple hours for it to cook down to get to a consistency that we want for our tomato sauce. Okay, so we're starting to get a little bit of a boil, but we want it to get a nice, good rolling boil before we turn it down. Okay, here we go. We got a good rolling boil here. And now we just want to keep that going, but we don't want it to boil over or to scorch. So we'll turn it down to a medium low and just let that cook for a couple hours till it's cooked down to the right consistency. Now, right now, it kind of looks separated and clumpy. That won't matter because we're going to blend it again, and it will have the perfect smooth consistency of tomato sauce. But now that we've got a good boil, we don't want to put the lid on because we want it to reduce, and the lid would trap the moisture in. So we're going to keep the lid off and just let it have this little simmering boil here to help it reduce. Every now and again, we'll give it a stir, but we'll let that cook for a couple hours. So I'll see you in a couple hours, or by the magic of editing, in a few seconds. We're back, and this is what we want it to look like. It's very thick, and if you recall where it was up on the pot, it was probably 2 inches higher when I started, and now it's cooked down on the pot at least a good 2 inches, and it's very thick, but it looks a little chunky. If you look really close, when you look really close, you can see that it's a little chunky, but it's very thick. We've turned off the heat, and now we're going to blend it a second time. And this is where we get the smooth consistency of tomato sauce. We're going to do some blending. Now, this is very hot. This is quite hot, and so we don't want to put very much in the blender. I usually do up to about 3 cups, which is about 4 of the ladles. So it's only maybe about half full. I put it on the lowest setting to start so that it doesn't splatter so much when I first do it. And I also cover it. I put a towel on it with my hand on it because number one, it's going to be hot. You don't want your hand on here because it's going to spurt up and this lid is going to get real hot. So you put a towel on it. A number 2 reason is you're holding the lid on because when it's hot and it first comes on, it's going to rise up, and the pressure, the heat, and the mixer going on, the rotation of the mixer is going to give pressure and try to push the lid off. So you want to hold it on, but you don't want to hold it on with your bare hand. So with the tea towel or any towel, just hold it in place, and then you turn it on, and you start low. Once it's initially on, you gradually work it up to the highest speed, and you let it blend for a little bit. I don't know if it's a whole minute, but at least 30 seconds, if not more. So here we go with some noise. Now I put it in a different container till I empty the pot. It's got a beautiful smoothness now with this second blend. I almost forgot. I've forgotten before, so it's a good thing I remembered in time. Always take out your bay leaf before you blend. Let's get that bay leaf out. We have 2 of them, that's 1. And there's 2. Good save. I almost forgot it. It's not very tasty. They give a good flavor, but they're very coarse and bitter. They don't blend up. So I'm going to do another. Again, I put the towel and I have it on the lowest setting to start. And I hold it on. Okay, and then we pour it into this bowl. Let me see if I can get you close enough to see the difference in smoothness here. So this is very smooth. You can see that beautiful velvety texture there. And then this one, you can see is very chunky. And it's got a good thickness, but it's chunky. We'll just keep blending until we finish off all of the chunky sauce and get it nice and velvety smooth. And this is a beautiful way to use up all of the vegetable and to be able to work really quick and easy. The only thing that takes time is cooking it down. And the great thing about cooking it down is you can be doing other things while it's cooking down and just occasionally come back and give it a stir. So each blender hopper full, I do just about a minute. And it might be a little overkill, but at least I'm sure it's enough. That is just beautiful tomato sauce. I just am so excited every time I see it. Now we're going to pour it back into the pot so we can keep it hot because we want to preserve this. This is a lot of tomato sauce. I can't use it all at once. So I'm going to be putting it in pint and half pint jars, depending on the need. Sometimes I need 2 cups and sometimes only 1. So I do both sizes. Now is when I want to give the final taste test. And I'm just going to keep it on a low. I want to keep it warm because I'm going to be preserving it, putting it in hot jars. It needs to stay hot. But I'm going to give a final taste test, make sure of the salt, and if I need more black pepper or something. Definitely need some salt. I'm going to put another teaspoon in it and then check it again. That's pretty good. I think I'm going to put some black pepper also. About a half teaspoon for this amount. And even though I put that poblano in this, it's not spicy. It's not spicy at all. The poblano just gives another level of flavor, as well as the black pepper. There, that is some delicious tomato sauce. Okay, now we're ready to put it in the jars. Okay, so now we have our tomato sauce. Now you just cover it with water and bring it to a boil and then turn it down and let it be at a low boil for 25 minutes. And that's it. That's your tomato sauce. I hope this was helpful for you. Thank you for joining me. Until we meet again.